This is going to be a short one. It covers the 70 miles from Pie Town to Grants. The whole hike was on road. It started out on dirt, but then transitioned to asphalt near Grants. I started at Toaster House. Iron left early. I said goodbye to Richard and Raven before heading back to the gathering place one more time for breakfast. Thank you, Paul, and the rest of the staff there for your hospitality. Richard got breakfast there too, so I could see Raven one last time. The day was crazy windy. At one point I tried to pour water from one bottle to the other, but no water made it across despite the bottles being lip to lip. It just blew away. I think the only thing that made it in was sand. Private land was on both sides of the road, so finding a camping spot would be difficult. A short bit was marked as public lands though. I don't know how so much of the road could be just bare rock. If you ever find yourself broken down in the desert, take the door off the car before you walk to safety. That way, if you get hot, you can roll down the window. Subdivisions along the road had a theme. Obsessed much? This homestead was remarkable. About 16 miles into the first day, I came to TLC Ranch. The 30 miles from Davila Ranch to TLC is amazing. Thank you to John Davila, the Laurent family that maintained Toaster House, and the Armstrong family that opens up the TLC Ranch to us hikers. Twice on the PCT, I dug a cat hole and discovered halfway through digging that I was not the first one to use the spot. Disgusting. Not only is there no risk of that on the CTT, but you often camp where no one has ever camped before and probably never will again. For instance, behind the Perry Ranch Cemetery. See, at the TLC, I saw that there was a geocache right on the CTT about 6 miles ahead. Since geocaches are mostly on public lands, I planned to camp there. When I got to the geocache location, I found out it was hidden at a graveyard. The Perry family, who I assumed homesteaded the area, established the graveyard in 1936. There were a lot of trees behind the cemetery, so I stuck to my plan and thought the trees would block the wind a bit. Despite that, it took me 3 attempts to get my tent up. During the night, the wind calmed down. The morning was so still. What a contrast to the day before. Early the next day, I came to a tire trough. These are usually pretty gross. This one was filled by a solar well and was crystal clear. The tire was about 10 feet wide and cut in half. And I was tempted to take a bath. Normally it's so hard to find a place to sit and relax. Back support on the trail is at a premium. But on this stretch, every parcel of land has a little utility box that was great for a break. Speaking of breaks, these culvert pipes had been dug up for some reason and left next to the road. They were a great place to get out of the sun and the wind for a snack. Up there was a Cibola alternate. I decided to skip it and just walk the road. The trail was on York Ranch Road, which had very little traffic, but what did drive by was interesting. Thanks to this sign, I was reminded to slow down. The water caches along this section were infrequent and smaller than the previous sections, although they were adequate for my needs. About 4 p.m. on the second day, I hit State Route 117 and asphalt. On the turns, there were these bumps that reminded me to slow down again. I stopped at the Narrows picnic area for dinner. At the picnic area was a little cave that people have used to get out of the weather for a long time. At least that's my assumption based on the soot deposits on the ceiling. I camped nearby, off the road, and hidden by scrub brush. So I had breakfast at the picnic area too, before hitting the asphalt once again. The morning was so cold since I started out hiking in the shadow of the Narrows cliff. I believe it's called the Narrows because of the road and the trails and paths that preceded the road go along this narrow strip of land between the ancient lava flow and the cliff. The settlers would have been forced to travel this strip of land. Towards the end of the Narrows was a rest area that had a small water cache and some trail magic. Thanks, Jen is Trouble. Speaking of the lava fields to the west of the road, it is part of El País National Monument. El País means bad country. And I assume that's because of the lava fields. The main CDT route joined the road at the entrance to the monument. I'm back on the CDT track. Of course, the track is like 25 miles of asphalt to this point. Well, I was on the CDT and I was walking asphalt again, so if someone offered me a ride. As I speed ran the 16 miles of asphalt to the Route 66 Junkyard Brewery in Grants, I saw Roadrunner and Iron walking by. They were nearly to the brewery. I waited for them and we celebrated another town stop together. After the pit stop, we walked Route 66 together to our hotels. Well, if you ever plan to motor west, Jack, travel my way. Take the highway, that's the best. Get your kicks on Route 66. Snake count, still one, but perhaps it'll make you feel better to know that the shadow of some grass swaying in the wind was very snake-like and made me jump. Town stop checklist. Grants, check.